Okay, so welcome to those of you who are here live with us and those who will be listening to the recording. We're so excited to be here together, Damini and I and all of you. And this is part one of our two-part open house series for you to get an experience or a taste or a feeling in your body of the Shamanic Practitioner Training Program, which is extraordinary. I can speak to that, and I will speak to that, but I was actually a participant last year, so I can actually speak to how amazing the program is. And then, of course, I can speak to Damini and her amazing extraordinariness. So what we're going to do is actually to begin and create the space and really come into this shared frequency, because we're all coming from just different things in our lives and activities and energies. And so Damini's actually going to sage us. And it's a really powerful practice, because although we're not in space, what Damini really shares through the shamanic practices is that there is no time and space. So she's going to sage us, and I'll lead you through a really short grounding. And then I'm actually going to hand the majority of the call over to Damini, and she'll be speaking about shamanic practices and healing, and we'll answer some questions, and then she's going to lead us in a journey to a power plant. So we'll leave with a really experiential component of what this is really all about. And of course, interwoven in that, we'll be sharing about the practitioner training program and all the important pieces that you need to know, since registration will be closing in a week from today. Okay.
Great. So my loves, if you have a candle, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and light a candle. And it's important to create sacred space, because the more that we can use our senses, the more that we let our body, mind, spirit know that we're coming into this space that is sacred, and actually has, I sometimes call it no time. So it's a place out of time where we can do some really deep personal work, really deep healing work. So to set up an altar, to light a candle. And if you have any scent there that you want to go ahead and light, you can do that as well, in any way that you can engage your senses. And then what I'm going to do is smudge each and every one of you, because what Ameya and I have truly experienced with the last program is that there is no time and space. And if I am smudging you here via our computers, it is absolutely happening for you. So go ahead and light a candle. And as you light the candle, know that the candle is a representation of your light. It's a physical representation of the light that's inside you. It's the light that reminds you that you are in a place of being in co-relationship with spirit. And if you have four-legged ones or feathered ones, please invite them to come into the circle as well, because they're all part of our relationship with the web of life. Great. So I am going to use sage, and you absolutely can use anything that you like to clear. And what's most important is that you always use the intention, is that I am clearing what I don't need to hold on to today. I am clearing so I can be open and receptive to the information that you receive, either intellectually or through your body. And I also like to use sound. So I'll call your name, And then I'll call out some space for those of you who are listening at another time as well. So Jill, allow your heart to open and allow whatever needs to be cleared to be cleared. And Sarah, allow your heart to open. And then allow whatever you don't need to hold on to right now to go. And those of you on the phone without an image, we send you love. And again, allow your heart to open. And allow your being just to clear whatever you don't need to clear right now. And Ameya, allow your heart to open. And allow yourself or invite yourself to let go of whatever you don't need right now. Beautiful. So just notice how your body feels. Notice how your heart's landing. And Ameya is going to go ahead and open the circle. But I'd like to also invite each and every one of us to feel the person who's next to you, because we're in circle. Feel the person next to you's hand in your hand. Feel the connection of this community building. Building as the call went out for this program, and building as each and every one of us are here in circle. We are already creating a powerful, powerful circle.
And so just breathing, just really giving yourself this opportunity after you've been saged and feeling the purification and the releasing and the letting go. And feeling each woman who's here present with us and each woman who is here listening to the recording or here who's present in this shamanic path, really feeling the threads that weave us all together on this path that is guided by spirit. And as you sit here, letting yourself fall into a deeper and deeper space of presence, bringing forth something that you're really grateful for in this moment. This could just be this moment, or this could be, something big like your life, or this could be a conversation that you had this morning. Bringing forward something that you're doing in your life, that you're cultivating through all the practices through all the devotion you have for your growth, and for all the love that you have for the earth and for all beings everywhere, that you are bringing forward something that you are incredibly grateful for. And allowing that space of gratitude to move from your heart and really fill your being. That gratitude has such a beautiful frequency that we can bring into the entirety of your body. And so letting gratitude just begin to pulsate from your heart up to your head, landing in your eyes and your nose and your mouth, landing at your crown, at your ears, your throat, and letting that gratitude pulse down your arms. Is really filling yourself with the vibration that's so deeply rooted in love. Letting gratitude move from your heart to your solar plexus, just showering, like just literally showering from your solar plexus all the way down to your toes. And noticing what happens for you as you come into a more profound and a wider lens of gratitude. Notice any more ease you feel in your own body, more love, more presence, more beauty. And of course, as we walk this sacred path, for each of us, and for us as a whole collective, we call forth any guides or teachers in the unseen that you work with, that are here with you, navigating and supporting you. We welcome them into our shared space together. We ask that from this place of gratitude and from this deep pulsation of connection that we have between ourselves and our guides and one another, that all that we experience and all that we share, we give back to the world in the highest good for all beings everywhere, seen and unseen. And so mote it be. Blessed be. And just taking 2 more deep breaths, just giving yourself this time of oxygen and pause and spaciousness. And when you're ready, just letting in a little bit of light, taking your time to come from your own internal spaces back out to our shared space. And so we really deeply welcome you all. Hi, Allison. So glad you're here. And yeah, it's with just so much love that this program is here for you and that we're journeying together. And feels really powerful that we're meeting during this week of the upcoming full moon and lunar eclipse, and just so much that's wanting to die and end and be rebirthed. You know, we're all going through some pretty huge transformations. And so it's, you know, even more important for us to have sacred tools at our disposal, and even more for us to know that we have a huge council of beings that are unseen, that are supporting with us, and that we can talk to and go to and have support us. So it feels really perfect timing for us to gather in this way. So thank you for making time, and if you're here live, and of course for those who will be listening to the recording, thank you for being here and showing up at this pivotal moment, the longest eclipse in the century. So I'm going to introduce Damini, and you know, these are my favorite moments, and I could get teary-eyed, but I probably will. I already am. So, you know, Damini has incredible professional background, and I'm happy to share about that. And I know that that is important, but I just, you know, I always just want to share from my heart as Damini, a person and practitioner. And, you know, I was blessed to meet Damini about 16 years ago. And she's, I mean, maybe you've had this experience in your life, but she's one of these people, and I tell her this all the time, and she's just so humble. But I started working with her and then apprenticing with her, and she did so many sessions on me throughout the years that really, really saved me in very significant ways during my life. And she's really a caliber of practitioner that is rare. And I've moved around many different places, and she's my standard. And it's really hard to find somebody who is as skilled and phenomenal and deeply presenced in herself and her path. And so, you know, I invited her to come teach our students because she's the best, and I want the best for you. And she happily, and to like my happiness, said yes. And so this is our second year of offering this training program. And so I was able to be a participant last year, and it was magnificent in so many ways. I feel like I have so many more tools than I had, and also got solidified in the tools that I did have. And so she's just, yeah, she's extraordinary. She's full of love. She walks the shamanic path. You know, she lives the shamanic path. It's not separate from her. It is her. And you can see her altar and her spirit animals and her guides all behind her. And that's all real. You know, I've sent her so many SOSs over the last 2 years, and she's shown up for me. And that's just, you know, that's invaluable. And I'm so appreciative. And so I love you. And I'm so happy that you're leading this program, and so happy for all the women who get to partake in this. And professionally, you know, she's been a shamanic practitioner for 25 years or more, and an extraordinary also 5-element acupuncturist who basically works shamanically for 30 years. And so she has so much like expertise with clients, and also lives this path. So thank you so much, Damini. And I'm just going to pass it over to you.
Hi, thank you. You always make me blush. Just the one thing about being on the shamanic path, and I mean, there's a lot of shamanism is a common household world in not in every house, and that's what we're shooting for. But you know, shamanism, most people have heard of shamanism, and what's really, really important in this work is, and in any work that we do now, and I think it's really essential in this time right now, is that we don't separate who we are and what our heart calls us to do, and then the rest of our life. So no matter what work we're doing, it has to be integrated into almost every thread of our lives. And when we do that, you know, energy flows, healing happens for yourself and, if you're working with clients. And it puts, it creates this kind of web throughout the whole planet where we're all starting to vibrate. And Ameya used the word vibrate, which I really like. It's like the more that we live what we love, and the more that we really bring together all our gifts into every part of our life, the more that we spread this lightness throughout the entire planet. We actually raise the vibration of the entire planet. And so part of the program, the program has many different components. Some of it, there is an ant crawling across my laptop, back and forth, and which is very odd, especially since I'm in my spirit room here. But I feel like Ant is really wanting to be part of the circle. So I want to just acknowledge Ant as it goes across the screen. But part of the program, or the components of this program, hello, loves. Part of this program is, it is deep healing for you, because I really do believe that to do this work, we all have to be present all the time with what's going on in our lives and how we can be, the clearest, brightest light for ourselves and for the world. And so part of the program always integrates healing for each and every one of you. And then as a practitioner training, then we move that work into how can you incorporate this into whatever you are practicing. And I think that's what's really unique about this program, is that, we have a list of things that we're going to teach you, and we're definitely going to talk about that in a few minutes. But no matter what you do in the world, you can integrate shamanism into your practice. And that's really important. So we do that as a community, and then we do it as Q&As throughout the program, where, I help you find a way to use this work in whatever you do. So if you want to use this in your practice, if you want to use this with your family, if you want to use this, as we talked about with Sarah, how to really integrate and be part of the land that you live on. Shamanism is not just one box. It is a full life experience. And that's, I think, which is always super exciting about bringing a bunch of women together in community, because we get to share these ideas with each other. So, everybody's going to have different questions coming from different places. Some of you are absolute beginners, but in your heart, you know that this is your work. And that's beautiful, because we all start from a baseline. And I say this in the opening circle of the actual program, but my desire is that wherever you come from, that you leave all of what you think you know off to the side, open your heart, and allow the medicine to move through you in a different way. And some of you that are practitioners may have had this experience where, you know what your medicine does, and it almost limits you because you don't open up to a whole bunch of new different possibilities. Are you following me? I go on tangents a little bit, but I do come back, I promise. It's part of my teaching style. But it's been my experience with I've done a lot of work with a lot of different practitioners, teaching them, whether they're acupuncture students or energy healing students or shamanic students. Part of the power of the program is that I constantly invite you to stay open to new ideas and new possibilities in the way that this work will present itself for you. And because then it makes it your practice. You don't end up limiting yourself in some way. So that's one of the gifts of the practice. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent again, aren't I? So what I want to say is it's super important to know that wherever you are in your work, in your personal work and in your work as a practitioner, this program is right for you, because we as a community with my guidance will help craft it so it's your medicine and your practice. And, I call this 21st century shamanism. There are a lot of incredible indigenous people out there that are practicing. And what I always like to say is I'm a gal from the city. And, you know, I didn't have the opportunity to live in the Andes or to live anywhere else in the world. And so it's always been super important for me to make this work mine. You know, it's like this work is about your relationship with your helping spirits, right? And so we don't do a whole bunch of cultural specific work, right? Because I don't have that experience. And, you know, and I have met, and I have a lot of colleagues who do work with culturally specific practitioners, and that feels right for them. But this program is about making this practice of shamanism work for you in your life right now, right? So a lot of you are already thinking, okay, so how do I do, what is healing work with shamanism? You know, it's like a lot of you are thinking about how you can incorporate this. And we've gotten some questions, right, Ameya? Like how we can incorporate this into our practice, what kind of work will we teach you? Yeah, feel free to take notes. And if you have any questions, there'll be some time for that in a little while. But shamanisms culturally, indigenous shamans were the priests or priestesses, they were the therapists, they were the healers, they were the counselors, the guides, and the visionaries. So this program will give you a taste of all those ways so you can incorporate the healing part or the visionary part or the priestess path. You know, I know Ameya has done a lot of work with the priestess path with some of you. And what's important is that how do you bring this medicine where it's really unique for you? So each and every one of you will have a different type of practice, but it's all called shamanism. I think the beauty of shamanism right now is because it's really opened up and it is a global medicine. You know, the word shamanism comes from Mongolia or from the Tuvans. And that word has then been incorporated worldwide. But what it really is talking about is that the person, the shaman, who lives in between two worlds or multiple worlds at times, where we are living in this world and walking in this life, and at the same time have a relationship with everything around us: wind, air, water, fire, earth, animals, the unseen beings, you know, the energy and vibration of everything around us. And we are in co-relationship with all, sorry, the ant again. We're in co-relationship with everything. And that's a really beautiful thing, because that is how we are going to heal ourselves and heal the planet. So the shamans culturally would have different roles. So if somebody came to you and you had a powerful dream, it would be the shaman who would interpret that dream. And we're going to work with dreams and how to not only cultivate a dream that you have for your life and how you can incorporate that in, you know, how you can build that energy with your helping spirits. But also if you have a dream, you know, and you want that to be you want that to be interpreted, we will work with our helping spirits to help you understand the message that's coming through the dreams. And I'm going to go on a slightly little tangent right now, of course, right? We have this beautiful thing called the internet right now, and we have this amazing ability to search. You know, if you have a bird or a hawk that comes flying past you, you can go on the internet and say, oh, I wonder what hawk means. And that's a beautiful thing to do, because there's so much information out there. But what's important about this program is we're going to teach you ways for you to go to hawk and ask hawk why hawk is in your life. So I probably won't do it tonight, although I might when we start doing the plant journey. But it's important to know that this work takes your power back. So you're not looking outside yourself anymore. And I think that's one of the biggest motivators for me to keep teaching, is how do each and every one of us take our power back, own who we are, own who our gifts are, own who our power, what our power is, you know, and not looking outside ourselves all the time. We have this amazing thing that's happening where a lot of folks, where a lot of folks are looking for certifications, and, you know, building up a lot of certifications has its gifts. You know, it builds up knowledge and confidence and all those things. But at a certain point, you need to start making the medicine, and what you know, you need to start owning it and making it your own unique medicine. And that is the medicine woman. That is the shaman. When you take all your life experiences and you make them, you interpret them and you make them yours, right? And you know this because we're all on this healing path. If you're on this call, you're on a healing path. And one of the very first things we do when we start this journey is we go to books and we ask books to interpret things for us. Dreams or stories or images. But at a certain point, we need to come back to our body, come back to our intuition, our instincts, you know, our supernatural or clairsentient abilities, because it's through our body that we really know what true is. We know when the medicine is right, when we know we hear, you know, we have that particular feeling in our body when we hear truth. And that is actually part of the shamanic path, if you will. You know, I don't know if a classic shaman would say it in those words, but, you know, part of learning to be a shaman, part of becoming a shamanic practitioner, is to really trusting every one of your senses. And that's why opening a circle with candle and flowers and incense, things that really engage your senses to put you in sacred space. You know, that's the first way to start training your body to be a vibrational tool of truth and knowing, so that when you get information from your helping spirits, you know what true is. When you're listening to somebody and they're giving you a beautiful piece of insight, right? It's going to ring true for you or not. And that is part of the shamanic path, because you're gaining your power. So when we are filled up with power, when we are filled up with our light, we are radiating. And I know each and every one of you has had this experience when you feel like you're just vibrating and you're alive. And it's like you can almost feel your field just going, and sometimes it's really tight to your body, and sometimes it is huge. And you are filled up with your power. It's not something that you get from anybody else. Of course, you can build and fill up with some of the energy around you from nature, but you are filled up with your power. And when you are filled up with your power, nothing can get in. So there's always a whole bunch of questions about what is shamanic healing, right? And so people came to shamans and still come to shamans for things like depression or anxiety or addiction issues. You know, they're the kind of more pathological things, you know, that they've gone to doctors and things just haven't quite healed. Or perhaps people have gone to doctors and they've only gone so far and they can't seem to break through the illness, a chronic illness or a chronic mental pattern. And it's because you need to come back to yourself. And that's what shamanic healing does. It fills you up. It gets rid of what's in the way. And then ultimately teaches you the tools to stay filled up. And, you know, we can fill up by meditation. We can fill up by yoga practices. We can fill up by being in love. We can fill up by being in community. But what's important is you stay filled up. And what happens in indigenous cultures of centuries ago and now, that sometimes we get beside ourselves, or we kind of step outside ourselves, or we get too tired or too fatigued, or porous, as I like to call it. And so your field doesn't have the integrity. You know, you don't have that full light energy coming all the way out here. And when your field or your energy gets weaker, things can get in. And I think we all know, we've heard about possessions where energy comes into your field, because nature just abhors a vacuum. So if you have a little hole and you have a little life force, things will come into you. And in Chinese medicine, this is exactly how they talk about colds, right? So a cold is an intrusion. A cold is a possession, right? Or a cold is an entity. Same thing in shamanism as it is in five-element acupuncture. When your field is thin, things get in. And if you have some vitality, your body, or light, if we want to call it that, your body will actually start to push out what's in the way. So, you know, you all know that you get a cold, and you can normally, if you're a relatively healthy person, you can push the cold out. Now, and I could say cold or addiction or depression or anxiety, any of these words that we use, or even the lack of having a vision for your life. That's all the same thing, right? So if you get something in your way, right, there are different shamanic ways or healings to clear out what's in your way so you can become your light again. So let's just talk about what different types of healing there that you can do shamanically. And these are everything that we are going to teach, these are everything that we're going to teach. So if you are particularly weak, you can get power loss or essence loss, or it's called more commonly soul loss. So where a part of you just kind of steps off to the side. Now, and that's a pretty common thing, where a good example is if you're about to be in a car accident, right? The very last thing your being wants to be is in your body, right? So you're going to actually step outside yourself. Your body will go through the trauma. And then if you are strong and integritous in yourself, your parts will come back. But sometimes what happens is you lose essence, or you lose your light and the ability for that part to come back. So that is sometimes when somebody would come in for a soul retrieval. And Ameya and I have talked about this. I will teach you ways teach you how to start again. I'm going to teach you ways that you can ask for healing for your client with your helping spirits to help somebody's soul essence come back. But we won't necessarily do a classical soul retrieval. And I know a lot of you have heard about that. But what's important is because you are going to be working with your helping spirits, you're going to ask your helping spirits to do the work. And so one of the first shamanic healings is to bring somebody's soul essence back. And so we're going to teach you how to do that. In shamanism, this light that I talked about is called power, right? And again, you know, if you are filled up, right, and you are filled with your light, you can walk down any street and nobody will bump into you, right? And if you were feeling particularly introverted or sad or just poor me, and I don't know about all of you, but I can trip into that world a lot. And if I feel really fragile, everybody on the street will bump into me. Dogs, birds, humans. Like, you know, it's just that your field becomes so collapsed that you don't have the power. So people just start bumping into you. So when you start, one of the, I'm going on a tangent again. Damini, yikes. So loss of power is a shamanic pathology, if you will. You can have loss of power, you can have loss of essence, you can have spiritual intrusions or blocks. And so I'm so sorry. My brain is going whirl. I'm going to just take a moment. So if you are not filled up, you can have loss of power or loss of essence, or you can get things that come in. So, you know, the good example is a cold. or an entity. And there's also, when I'm talking about this work, or illness, I'm not talking just about the physical, but mental stories as well. So if you have a belief, like I run into a lot of people that always think that they are getting possessed by a being. Like it is in their belief system that they can take on stuff all the time. And I don't know if you know anybody like this, but I run into a lot of people, or a lot of people call me up for healings because of this. But see, that is it's not necessarily a physical illness, but it's a mental pattern that keeps calling things into you. So in this program, you are going to learn how to retrieve essences. You are going to learn how to clear spiritual intrusions, and we can call those entities, or we can call those somebody's curse. Sometimes they're called curses. Curses that you put on yourself, and curses that other people can put on you. We can also take on other people's emotions, and I'm sure that each and every one of you in here have a really strong empathic gift, which means that you can go into a room, and if somebody's in a foul mood, you will pick it up, and you always feel like you have to leave and get a shower, right? That's or smudge yourself or do other things, and that is because your power or your light is not fully filled up. So a spiritual intrusion could be an idea that you do to yourself. And actually, I think money is a really interesting pathology. You know, some people have such a belief that they cannot succeed that they won't, right? And so that's a spiritual intrusion where you have this pattern inside you that is creating a weird energy field. So that would be, that could be a spiritual intrusion or a mental intrusion, but it's still something that's not keeping you filled up and bright. Sometimes you have power loss. So in shamanism, the two things that you give a child when they're born, traditionally would be a rattle, which is a power object, right? And then something that represents their power animal or totem, right? So these two objects are how traditionally you gift power to this child. And so what do we do now? When somebody is born, you give them a baby rattle still, right? And a stuffy, right? And how do you choose the stuffy? You know, it's something in your heart that says, oh, yes, this is the being that is for this child. So we still, in the 21st century, have this deep, deep belief that we need to support the power or the light of all beings, right? Starting with the youngest ones. You know, so you give them rattles and you give them power animals. So one of the very first things we'll do in this program is receive a power animal retrieval and learn how to give a power animal retrieval, because that is the very, very first way to fill up with power. Okay. And when I'm talking about power animals, in this particular case, I am talking about an animal, but this can be a plant, which we'll do later on today, or it can be a crystal, or it can be a tree. You know, we all have these different allies that help support us. The really good news is they are around us, whether we know it or not. Thank goodness, right? Or we just be bumping around on our own. I mean, the gift of being a shamanic practitioner is that you are in relationship with these beings all the time, via the classical shamanic journey, which I will teach you a very classic ritual of going from this reality into sacred space, into the invisible realms, to talk to your helping spirits, to gain information, and we call that divination. So you'll be able to really ask your helping spirits some really good questions. I always like to tell this story. Sometimes it's always great to ask your helping spirits, like, how can my life be if I take the shamanic program? And I think that's a really great question to ask yourself. So you can do it as a journey. You could do it as a automatic writing right now. You can do it by sitting quietly. But again, you're using your body as that vibration. It's like, if you really sit and think, how would my life be if I take this practitioner training? You know, just notice how your body feels. Does it feel big? Do you feel empowered? Or do you go, eek? So a little sidebar is I had a friend in a program once who asked if she should marry this man. And Spirit was like, absolutely, it's the best thing you can do. So she asked a yes or no question, right? And it was a hellish, okay, Sarah, we love you. Please listen later on. So anyway, she had the most challenging relationship she ever had in her life, because Spirit doesn't really think about the day-to-day living. Spirit's always thinking about, how can you grow as a human being? How can you raise your vibration more and more and more? So her relationship with this person was really a great learning. It wasn't what she thought it was. So I always like to say, don't ask Spirit, yes or no questions. Ask them, you know, how would my life be if? Right? And that's really important, because it doesn't take your power away. No matter how much I love and trust my helping spirits, and I've been working with some of them for a really long time now, you know, it's always about me accepting the information, about me trusting the information, which means that you are taking your power back consistently, right? So part of this program is to build a co-relationship with your helping spirits, not just letting them lead you along, right? Which is really super important. So in this program, we're going to teach you how to do a power animal retrieval. And so every time I'm talking about these healing modalities, you are also going to be receiving them. So that's the beauty of this program, is you get a lot of self-healing, and you get to learn how to ask questions that are right and for you, and how to use this practice to help guide you, to help vision you forward in your life, right? So then you also get to learn how to do these practices for other people. And so there's the teaching you power animal retrievals, so you can build power and not be so hollow or porous as you go through the world. You're also going to learn how to, with your helping spirits, learn to bring back essence for yourself. So if you've had a trauma or a shock, or you have a client who has a trauma or shock, with your helping spirits, you will learn how to bring back their essence. So there's the borrowed power of your helping spirits or your totems that you'll work with, and that's the power animal retrieval. But also learn how to bring you back. And we all have had this experience. You know, sometimes that expression, oh my goodness, I am beside myself. Well, energetically, you are absolutely beside yourself. And so if we're really lucky and we have the tools, we can bring ourselves back in. And you know this, sometimes you feel like you're a top, and sometimes you feel like you're a tree or a rock. So the practice of bringing your essence back is an actual healing modality. So you're going to learn how to bring essence back, your essence or your client's essence. Sometimes people have weird, freaky pain. And I would get this a whole bunch in my acupuncture practice in the beginning. You know, they would go to a doctor, they would have all this kind of pain, and the doctor would be like, there is nothing wrong. You know, and so that's in shamanism what we call a spiritual intrusion. So not only could it be an entity, but it could be something that's just manifesting in some part of your body. And, you know, there's 1,000 different reasons why that can happen. But the beauty is you, with your helping spirits, will find out why. And then energetically learn how to clear what's in the way, and then add power back to that part of the body. Oh God, I have 1,000 stories about that, but we'll just keep going. And then shamans also work with the living and the deceased. So that's a technique called Psychopump. where I live, currently where I live right now, I live in Valley Forge Park, which is part of the revolution of the Americas. And so when I first started coming out here, I would start walking in the park and there'd be being like dead soldiers talking to me and following me around all the time. And they were trapped here. And, you know, not just, but with my helping spirits, I was able to help them help them move forward, move into the next stage of their existence. And it's funny, I just met somebody recently who said, oh my God, I used to walk through Valley Forge and I would get all kind of weird, like they didn't have words for this. And now more recently, it's so much lighter and brighter. And I think that's not just me. I know that there's other practitioners in the park working. But so we will also learn how to work with beings that need to cross over. Because sometimes beings, beings are still caught in shock. And sometimes they're confused and they don't know what to do. And sometimes they don't have enough life force, whether they're in body or not, to actually make the transition. So we'll teach you how to do that as well. Yeah. Let me just see. So that's the healing modalities of the program. And I know I just kind of went through them really quickly. And I also know that in Ameya's flower essence training, she talks about working with meridians and talks about working with depossession treatments. And I've studied with Elliot Cohen as well. And I also know plant spirit medicine. And I've put together a practice, a depossession practice, if you will, that combines plant spirit medicine, 5-element acupuncture, and shamanism together so that you all can do this work safely. So what the most important thing in shamanism as a practitioner is that you have to be filled up, you have to be strong in yourself, and you have to be in relationship with your helping spirits. And when you do that, then you can do the healing work. So that's why it's essential that we work on ourselves first and then how to do the work. And I've incorporated a lot of different modalities together into creating a depossession formula that I would say is relatively, I don't like to say percentages, but it's very powerful and effective, where you as the practitioner are really safe. So I know I've met in the gals that we had that were in the program last year, they were all excited to do depossession works, and then you start thinking really about what you do, and then everybody stopped doing it. And through the program, it was fascinating, and through the program we really sat and talked about it a lot, talked about how the fear was not allowing them to be filled up, so they couldn't do the work. So it's not that you're just learning a whole bunch of techniques over and over again. We learn a technique, we go back and forth, and in the long-term program, on the online program, we do a lot of different journeys to show you the very different ways that you can allow shamanism into your practice. And it's endless. It's truly amazing and endless. Ameya, have I missed anything?
I mean, I'm just sitting here saying, like, I think I might need to take the program again. I'm like, it's just so extraordinary, this work. And I think, the piece that I really want to presence, because I feel like I really took from your training and has been really important, so that was almost a year ago that we did that that we did the retreat of the training, is the piece of your own power. Right. And building your own personal power and really seeking the answers with your spirit teachers and guides, because I feel like so much of the time we all just go a little like, I need to ask this person, I need to look at this, and I need to, everything's outside of us.
Right.
And that's been so powerful for me. I mean, in this last year or less, it's like whenever I have questions about anything, whether it's my life or, curriculum I want to teach. I'm just like, why spend like days thinking about it? I can just do a 15-minute journey and ask what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, it's just, and my power gets preserved and strengthens. And I just feel like, besides all the amazing life-changing practices that you learn to give to yourself and on behalf of others, that piece feels really significant for women. And just, we need to be powered up. We need to be in our power. And I just wanted to voice that, because it's just so present in what you teach and how you teach.
Right. I mean, I think of all the things that are essential in this training, it is coming back into our power, and however that is and unique to us. It's possible that some of you have really explored the priestess path, and it's coming to me now, so I'm just going to voice this, is if you really think about the energy of the priestesses, and if you imagine them embodied, however long ago that is, what they knew is they knew their relationship with everything around them, and I call that the web of life. And they also knew that everything around them was inside them. So there was no looking outside themselves. And each and every one of you has had that experience where I call it truth or light or power. But when it sits inside you, it's not that you're as power over, but you move through life, and life moves with you when you are in the flow, when you are in your power. And I do believe that the helping spirits that we work with are reflections of our inner power. And that could be this beautiful little ant that keeps going across my screen, because, ants are powerful, or it can be, the crows or the ravens. But every being, every helping spirit that you meet is a reflection of you. It's not an outside power, which I'm not so sure that's really talked about in indigenous shamanism, but it's something that I know to be true, is that whoever you meet is a reflection of your power. And it's just a way to, that visual, that animal or that goddess or that being that comes to you and says, I am your teacher, I am your totem, I am your power animal, learn from me. It's about really learning about that aspect and that power of you. And I think that's really, it's remarkable. It is a real gift. So it's not that you're always asking outside yourself. You're really reflecting within your own power questions about yourself, your vision, or working on behalf of another client or for a client as well. I always think that you're in co-relationship that everything that's around you. And that's really important to know, because that is the work, right? My goodness, there's 1,000 things I could say, but Ameya, anything else you want to share?
Well, we can keep talking on Thursday, because we do have another call, and I know there's so much. You have stories, and this is just, I don't even want to say a morsel. It's like a grain of sand on the beach, just like the infiniteness of this modality or this path. I guess maybe we can open for questions to see, anyone who's here, if you have questions about anything that Damini spoke about, or questions specifically about the program. They can be really logistical, practical to super esoteric. Our program begins October 6th with a 6-day retreat in New Mexico. And the reason we're having registration now is because people's lives get really full and busy, and we want to make sure you get like the plane ticket you need, and make sure your kids are taken care of and your work is taken care of so you can be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's 6 days, and you know, that 6 days is, I mean, that's where you teach like so much. It's just every day building onto the next and receiving healing from others and doing the practice of the work and going through your own process and journey. And then we have 6 months online, 2 calls per month that are 2.5 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're all recorded, which is great because they're yours forever and you're going to go back to them because it's so experiential. Like, I'm just listening to you right now. I'm like, oh, I want to do everything again. You know, I want to go through it all again. So, you know, I'm getting the reflection of like listening to the recordings again. And there's so much, because when you're having your own personal experience, it's like that's a huge significant thing. And then you're also learning a modality, and that's a huge significant thing. So there's a lot that happens, you know, at the 6-day retreat and over the 6 months. And of course, you know, a gorgeous container of women who are learning and living a language of spirit with you. So we have 13 spaces available. We've received a ton of applications, which has been really exciting for us. And so if you are interested, please submit your application. We have registration closing in a week on Tuesday. And we are keeping it really small and intimate because you're going to want to get lots of one-on-one, you know, connection with Damini. And there's just something, obviously, I always prefer small containers because no one can get lost. And we don't want any of you getting lost with this level of practice. So, and we have payment plans.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I just wanted to say 2 things. So Ameya really voiced the deep healing that happens for you in New Mexico. And the other beauty of the 6-month online part is that you still get whatever healing process that you're in still is supported throughout those 6 months. So, you know, it's like there's different layers. There's the holding you and supporting you layer for 6 months, basically, which is unique because normally you go to a retreat and then you're on your own for a while. And so in this way, you're being held. And also the modalities that you learn in person are also being supported. So by the time you finish the program, you are as prepared as possible to really start a practice. And I think, you know, and you're held and loved. You know, you're held in love for the whole time as well. And New Mexico is a really beautiful place to do this work because I have a personal relationship with New Mexico, and New Mexico really loves to have shamanism taught in New Mexico. So the spirit of the land that we call New Mexico holds us and supports the work too. And I think that's a really, really beautiful gift. And I'm not saying you can't do that anywhere in the world, but there's something very magical and powerful about being held by a land that loves this work. So I just had to interject.
Yeah, thank you. So does anyone have any questions or anything present before we do the journey piece?
I would love to share. It's so many pieces of what you've shared, Damini, have just been like really touched very deeply to my soul. And it's really interesting because when Ameya offered this program last year for the first time, I was like, oh, I have to do it. But I also at the same time was like, I don't need to sign up for another program. I don't need another certificate. And then so when she offered the program this year, of course, in the beginning, I was like, no, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do another program. I don't need another certificate. And then literally I have had, I mean, I quit counting because I've had one sign after another affirmation from spirit, and just continued affirmation and guidance that yes, I am really being called to this. And one of those was when I saw that you were doing the retreat and the training in New Mexico, because that is like, you know, that's my sacred land and space. And one day I will be embodying and living on that land. And yeah, and so that was really a beautiful, powerful affirmation. And then ever since getting on the call, and I was trying to get on at 3, but I couldn't find the right Zoom link, I guess. I don't know what happened. So I've just had waves and tears, like of deep soul remembrance of being in communion with your energetics. And it has just been really powerful and beautiful and special. And so, yeah, thank you for everything. And
thank
I really
you.
look forward to journeying forward with you in this work and receiving from the wisdom transmissions that you offer and share.
And transmissions, they will come. I think that you brought up a really beautiful thing. And I can't say this enough, that regardless of where you are on this path, whether you feel like you've done this work, whether you've done shamanic work, and Ameya could speak to this as well, or if you heard the word shamanism or shamanic practitioner training and your body was like, yes, I have no idea what this is, but yes. Because this is what happens. It's like, it's like you see it and it just keeps showing up and showing up and showing up in your life. It's like, but you have no idea what this is. You're in the right place. So it doesn't matter what your experience is. I ask everybody to come in with a beginner's mind, right? Because, and this is hard for adults, but the more that we are in a beginner's mind, the more we allow our heart to open to this work, the more we all go deeper. Whether you have years of experience or you're just the beginning, it's just right for you. What's really important is that you're coming to this program because your being is screaming yes. And it brings tears to your eyes. I'm getting all teary. It's just like there's that part of you that has been calling for you to walk this path for your whole life. Like, I read some applications where it was like, I've wanted to be a practitioner, a shamanic practitioner, or a medicine woman, since I was a child. And, I think that's it. It's like, it is like a bone memory to be called to this work. I mean, it's just like, it's an ancient lineage that wakes up in our DNA, and that's this work. So it doesn't matter what your experience level is. I promise you, you will come into this medicine in a way that's unique for you. So thank you for bringing that up, because I wanted to make sure that was real clear. And then, again, I'm going to encourage you, there was a lot of information that came, and we're going to do a journey next. But, if you can, at the end of the call, just take a moment and just reflect on how your body feels, how your heart feels, and see if there's any questions that are coming up. And you can always email us or come onto the call on Thursday and really present those questions with the community, because I guarantee you, if you have this question, somebody else in the community does as well. So what I like to do...
Hold on, Damini, before you shift gears. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing this. Nikai or Nikwai. So she had posted a question that you just basically answered.
Oh.
And I wanted to make sure that we answered that, or if you had further questions, because that is a question that's come up of, what's the level of experience needed? And as Damini was saying, like some women, it's like completely, they've never done a journey or anything. And then other women, more in the program last year, like myself, or maybe there was some other women who had done more foundational work, or had done shamanic work before. So everyone's kind of coming at different places. And I know I could just speak for myself that I certainly did not mind hearing you teach things that I already knew again, because there's always something that lands deeper. So you really can be, any place in this experience. So thanks for that question. And thanks for, answering that. And yes. So yeah, and for Marie or Jill, the 805 number, or Nakai is there. Nakai, again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that. Sorry. Right. Yeah. Oh, I am. Okay, great. Is there any question that you want to ask before we dive in? Are you thinking about joining us? I'm kind of like assuming that there's some like possibility. No. We're just curious where everyone's kind of feeling in their body.
Yeah. Yay, Jill.
Yeah. I've been feeling that's so with us forever, Jill. Like, I'd be so happy if you join this program. Nikolai gravitating toward it. Yeah. So there's always there's always a lot of processing of making this decision, and we know it's big, because it's not just big as far as like finances and time and resources, like that in itself is big, but also because, I love how Damini just spoke that of like, this is a calling from your bones, it's such a deep spirit path that it's important to be present with everything and remembering to listen to that place of your own center. The mind has lots of things that it wants to tell you. So if you have any questions, obviously you can email us at any point. We're here to, get on the phone with you, and also you can join us on Thursday where we can, maybe there's more questions that come forward, because we've received questions by email and questions just from women who are going through the application process. So we can also bring those forward. Mm-hmm. And Marie, sorry, I just got sidetracked. Marie, yeah, we can send you the recording. If you can type in your email right here, we can send you the recording, because, yeah, Damini, there was a mix-up, and the Zoom link that went out initially was not correct. And so that's why, some of these women joined late, and there's probably, more women who just couldn't get on. So if you saw me, I was like texting Eliza and was just trying to like figure things out. So yeah, if you can send us your email, Marie, then I'm happy to send you the recording, because you missed the first part of the call.
Right. Marie has a question here.
Yeah. So Damini, you answer that.
Right. I'm a coach going through life transitions, balancing hormones, sexuality, mindset, etc. So I was wondering how shamanism would complement my services. So everything that we do in shamanism is in co-relationship with our helping spirits. And so shamanism is very similar to holistic medicine, right? So we're not looking at particularly the symptoms. We actually work on behalf of our client or ourselves, and we ask our helping spirits. So I'm just going to pick one part of this. And, perhaps you would ask your helping spirits, like, okay, that's fine. So you would ask your helping spirit, this person, what we can call Sally, is having issues with her hormone, and we would like to ask for a healing with that. So you would you would work in co-relationship with your helping spirits to actually perform a healing for this client. And you will also ask your helping spirits, what support could this person do in the physical life to help with this? So it may be supplements, or it may be essences, but it also may be something completely unexpected. Like this person has to sit under a tree for 5 days at noon. You know, I'm just pulling that off the top of my head, but what's important is each healing is really unique for the person. And so, you know, you would go on behalf of your client with your helping spirits to ask what they need, to ask for a healing what they need. And so that's one part of how that can help you in your practice. The other thing is you may say to your helping spirits, you know, is there a technique, or is there a combination of essences, or is there something that I can put together that helps support women with sexual issues as they go through transitions? You know, it's like you can ask your helping spirits 1,000 different things to help support your practice. And that's what we do a lot in the program. It's like some people are here because they want to envision their life differently, or they're coaches and they want to help women vision their lives. So that's one particular way that you can work with your helping spirits. And then there's the medicinals, which you're talking about. Like, how can I work with my helping spirits this way? You know, your helping spirits may bring you to a plant that maybe in the book says this, but your helping spirits are saying it does this, right? And that's what's really important, because that is direct revelation from your helping spirits to you, to your client. It's not the common practices. And that's what we read out on Google all the time. Like, you can use this for this and this for this. That's a big, wide range of information gathered over the years that a particular plant does. But maybe your helping spirits say they need to wear red or wear silver or gold. I mean, you know, it's really going to be unique up to the client, or your helping spirits for your client. So I hope that helps. I mean, you know, and then, you know, if you want to build your practice, then you have a helping spirit that helps you support your practice. I mean, it's like endless, you know, because, and Ameya spoke to this, you know, sometimes we're like, what am I going to teach? What am I going to teach? What am I going to teach? Or what products am I going to offer? And, you know, blah, blah, blah. And we just twirl around in our head. And my goodness, it is so much easier. And I have to remind myself this as well, to do a journey and say, Spirit, what is the next step? You know, so that's where it is. So, you know, please join us on Thursday. If you have more questions, or you have some, I wonder ifs, you know, just come back on Thursday or email us and we'll speak to them. And then you can read the email again or listen to the recording from Thursday. But what I can tell you about this, this program is it's small, and it's held in love, and it's really individualized. I mean, yes, I have a protocol or curriculum, and yes, Spirit will change that to fit the needs of the group. I mean, so, you know, I can give you a whole list of things that I think we're going to teach, and then Spirit will say, we need to do this because this group needs this bit of information. And the power of direct revelation with your helping spirits is an empowered experience for each and every one of us. And that's what we hold for the next 6 months as well. So what I like to do, and I know we're running a little late, but what I like to do is give you a taste. And we've been using the word journey a lot. And some shamanic practices use what's called a shamanic journey, or as I like to call it, the shamanic journey ritual. Some shamanic practices don't use a journey. When they don't use a journey, those practitioners are so deeply enmeshed in the world around them that they can move from this world to the invisible worlds and back without help. But for those of us who have a very filled life in our heads, in the fields, in the Wi-Fi all around us. I mean, there's just a lot of yammer all around us. The shamanic journey ritual helps you come into a space, set an intention, move out of this kind of wide open world of seeing, and go into the place of our heart where our helping spirits, or the place that we see with our helping spirits. And then we get information that is not guided by our mind, but guided by spirit. And that's where the magic happens, you know. And then we get that information either through images, or maybe it looks like a movie, or maybe it's a felt sense. But you're out of your headspace, you're out of your ordinary reality, and you are in non-ordinary reality. And then you get information. And then to make sure that you're really solid and back into your body, the ritual then brings you back. So we'll talk a lot about the cosmology of shamanism, either in the next call and definitely in the program. But what I like to do now is give you a little experience of what it's like to do a shamanic journey. And we're going to go and meet an ally. And an ally is a being, plant, animal, human, in human form, that is part of your power field, if you will. And we're going to go and meet a plant. And so I'm going to encourage you to just be open to whatever plant shows up, and don't judge it. Don't say, oh my goodness, it's that one. I know what that one does. I want a different one. Don't, I always say, don't dish spirit. Just let whatever being is going to show up. And then you're going to ask that plant, what is the medicine that it brings into your life right now? Okay, and I'll reiterate this in a minute. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a shamanic journey to a plant. So the way the shamanic journey does is we normally use a percussive beat, because the percussive beat takes you out of your thinking mind and into your heart space. And I think it's alpha waves. You go into theta waves. And so it actually puts you into a different state of consciousness. And so we do a drumming, and I do it pretty fast, so it helps. It's like they say that the drum is like we're the horse, or we're the rider on the horse, and the drum is the horse. So the energy of the drum will help take you to that plant. What's very important in a shamanic journey is intention. So you're going to keep saying to yourself, I want to go and meet my plant ally that is present with me right now. And you're just going to keep saying that. And so what you're going to do is you're going to close your eyes. I'll talk you through it first. You're going to close your eyes and breathe into your heart. And you're going to know that you are going to walk outside where you live right now. And once you walk outside where you live, it could be any landscape. So it's not limited to where you live, right? Because you've stepped, if you ever seen Disney movies where all of a sudden everything comes alive and the colors are technicolor and the trees are talking to you, that's the world we're going to. I always think Disney movies are non-ordinary reality right there. They're just showing you that everything around us is alive and have spirit. So when the drumming starts, you're going to breathe into your heart. You're going to imagine, because there's no difference between imagination. The brain does not distinguish the difference between reality and imagination. So if you imagine yourself walking out your door and into a new landscape to meet a plant, you're going to, right? And so I'll drum for a while. And the drum beat is just to help keep you in motion, help keep you in the journey state. And then just keep saying, I want to meet a plant, I want to meet a plant, I want to meet my plant ally, I want to meet my plant ally. And when you meet this plant, you're going to say, hi, how are you? My name is, because I'm all about Miss Manners, right? And say to the plant, you can notice everything about the plant. Welcome, introduce yourself to this being. And, ask this plant, what medicine are you bringing into my life right now? and pay attention to everything it does and everything that you hear or see. So the plant may start dancing, or the plant may fold open and close. And, it doesn't matter what it does. What's important is you just kind of record the information. So those of you who meditate, this is not a meditation, right? You're actually actively participating in the journey. So if you don't see anything, I've been known to go, yoo-hoo, here I am, where's my plant ally? Like, go ahead and just consciously keep asking for your plant ally. The really good news is I think they're going to be right there when you step out the door. Ask this plant what your medicine is, have a conversation with it, ask it anything that you want. It's part of you. Remember, every ally is a representation of your power. So why is this being part of your life? Notice the color. Don't try to label it, okay? Do not say, oh, this is X plant. Don't worry about that right now, right? Because if you know anything about plants, your mind, your beautiful, beautiful, bright mind is going to start giving you the lists of everything that plant does. Don't worry about that right now. Take in the experience. It's almost like, when you're in love, your body is just so open and receptive that you get information in you that bypasses the mind. You just get all this information because your heart's open. So in the shamanic journey, allow your heart to be open and allow this plant to transmit really what its medicine is for you. You're going to hear the drum beat change after about 5 minutes, and I'll do something like, and that means you're going to say, thank you very much. It has been great to chat with you. I hope that I meet you again in real life, right? And then you're going to actually just turn around and walk back to where you started, okay? And then you're going to hear the drum go a little quicker, and that's the hurry up and come back and sit down drum beat. And then I'll end the drum beat. And that invitation is to come back into your body. Just come back into your body right now. Okay. So, yes, I am. So what I'd like you to do is, if you have a bandana, go ahead and cover your eyes, because shamans see in the dark because they see with their heart. Or you can put your hair over your head, or you can put your arm over your head. You can lie down or sit up, whatever is really comfortable for you. And just start saying to yourself, I would like to meet my plant ally. 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 And then as soon as the drumming starts, go ahead and walk out your door into a new landscape and have a conversation with your plant. So go ahead and thank the being that you've been talking to. You can always come back. And then start to retrace your steps. Then when you're ready, come back into your body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Come all the way back into your body. And then what I'm going to invite you to do is, this is a powerful experience to meet an ally. And it's really good to take some time and be present with all the information. And that even includes if you didn't necessarily meet somebody this time, still reflect on everything that you experienced. And if we were in the class, we would have the opportunity to share about what came up. But what I'm going to invite you to do is, when we're finished the call, spend a couple minutes and write down. So you're bringing this information from the other side, from the invisible realms into your life, into this present moment. And writing actually helps do that. It helps bring it into this reality. And it also helps you to remember things that perhaps you forgot during the journey. So with that invitation, I'm going to close circle. And just go ahead and look around your space and see all the women that are present now or will be present in the future on this call. See the circle and the community together. And then let's give our thanks to all the helping spirits, all the allies, and the land that you live on that supported you during this call. Give thanks to all the helping spirits and the web of life that's all around us and part of us. And give thanks for you, for hearing the call, for being present tonight, for honoring that call in your bones that's asking you to follow this path. So for now, we'll close circle. Feel free to email us with any questions, or even better yet, join us on Thursday. If you haven't filled out an application, please feel free to do so. And if you want to register, go ahead and email us as well. It's been a real pleasure to be in circle with each and every one of you. I know Ameya and I are really honored to offer this, and just really honored to be present with this open house series. So we hope to see you on Thursday. And if not, we hope to see you in New Mexico. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye. So much love. See you Thursday.
See you Thursday.